Hi, it's Tuesday night at 6:30, so it's time again for What We're Reading. I'm very excited to have my first repeat guest. Yay! And she deserves it. I have Sara P from our community outreach at the service center at KDL, and I also have Grace, who also works at community outreach. Sara and Grace, hello. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm going to tell everybody up front that I am on vacation. Yay! So I am actually coming to you all the way from the UP, which is amazing, KDL. But the UP's internet is a little iffy. So if I go out, Miss Sara has agreed to take over everything for me. But first, I'm going to ask you, Miss Sara, because it's my show, what are you reading?
Well, first of all, let me say that I am delighted to be here with you again. I always look forward, and I watched you last week, for example.
Oh,
You had Dr. Ezzy. That conversation was like powerful. So thank you, Penny. You are loved inside and outside of KDL. So, but
thank
to
you.
answer your question, um, so I brought two books, and these authors are very popular in the Latin American community, especially for issues related to women. And you
Okay.
can find a variety of titles in KDL, and in Mail you can find these titles. So the first one is called Diez Mujeres, Diez Mujeres, and the author is Marcela Serrano. And this book is about 10 stories of women that come from all walks of life, all different socioeconomical realities, ethnicities, and their stories are very different from each other, but they share this common bond of survival and of wanting to thrive. And the stories are told from the perspective of the 10th woman, who is their therapist, who believes that
Oh,
yes, by remembering and reframing those stories, we learn from them and we grow. And that's how that's what resilience is. So the book is extremely powerful. She's also the author of other similar books. One is called El Albergue de las Mujeres Tristes, and it's very, very powerful. She's great on telling the stories of survival women and how we really have an inner strength that drives from the love that we have for others, for our
mhm,
kids, for our families and our parents, but also the love that we have for ourselves. And when we
mhm.
find that, and we see ourselves reflected in other women, you know, that really shines, and it changes not only ourselves, but it changes our communities.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that women sometimes they get a bad rap about not
Mm.
showing the love for each other. And I am very against that. I mean, women are my favorite people. You two beautiful women are sharing my show, and I'm so glad to have you here. And I really think it's very important that women support other women.
That's right. Yeah, that we see each other and we recognize each other's
Mhm.
successes, but also struggles, so that we can support each other when it's needed. And
Yes.
so the second book I brought, you want me to share both of them at the same time, or
You're
yes?
on a roll. I say you
Okay.
go, Sarah. You're on a roll.
Same thing. This author, Maria Dueñas, you can find, she has many books and she is just wonderful. This one you can find in Mail. Other titles are available in KDO. But the story here, it's interesting because she is actually a professor. And she finds herself in a moment in life where basically she doesn't have any other option but move to a place that she's not expected to be, like at this university in the middle of, she thinks is in the middle of nowhere, and she just moves her whole life there and gets involved in activism because of what is happening in that community. But she quickly realizes that there's a story of a man who has died, but what he left and his struggle reflects into what is happening at the moment. And there's some romance because she finds another person there. And it goes back because the book is called Misión Olvido, Mission Forget to
Mhm.
Forget. Mission to Forget. So
Gotcha.
it is kind of like she has to deal with things that she thought she left behind, in order to move forward. And there's no way out. She has to do it because
You
now
have to
it's
go
not
through.
only about her. Yes. So very, very interesting. Very
Wow.
interesting book. So I really recommend it. And I recommend both of these authors. If you're interested, the versions in English are also available, but definitely take a look.
Wow.
And I want you to say, because Sarah said quickly that if it's not available through your regular catalog, it's available in MEL, and that's the Michigan Electronic Library. We are very blessed living here in Michigan that we share books. We share books not just between KDL's 20 branches, but with other systems within Michigan, with school libraries, college libraries, university libraries. We all support this so that we can share these books. So if you don't see it in a regular catalog, please check the Michigan Electronic Library catalog or mel.org. And Sarah, the author and KDL, and some that you will have to kind of expand your search a little bit.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
Yeah, but check them both out. And if you need any help, ask a librarian.
Right, and call patron service. It's called, if you don't know exactly how to do it in the computer, just give us a call and we will help you over the phone.
Yeah.
We'll request that for you.
And
the
now
author's name sounds so familiar. Oh.
Here. These are
That's
the authors.
Okay.
Maria Dueñas.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, does she write historical fiction? Because I think I've seen this author before, Maria Dueñas. Does she write A Time to Travel or something like that? Like historical, like 1920s, 30s?
Beth, can you look that up for us?
I saw it on the shelf at KDL once. In Spanish and in English, so I know that we had it, but it just sounds really, really familiar.
I don't know, Grace. That's a good question. But Beth is there because when Penny goes on vacation, she goes with friends from the library.
Yeah, well, as some people might know, Maria is kind of like saying, oh yeah, Sarah so-and-so. There are a lot of Sarahs and there are a lot of Marias, so it could be somebody with the same person, last name.
True. Yes. That's so true, Grace. True.
And we have a question for you, Sarah. Are those titles available in translation or only in Spanish?
So I can check that for you. I know that they're available in Spanish. I know that other titles by the same author are available in English as well in KDL.
Okay. Good, great. Terrific.
Yeah, take a look. It's very good.
We also have Grace here. Grace, it's your turn now. I'm going to ask you my question. What are you reading, Grace?
Thanks for asking, Penny. One of the books that I've been recently reading and I can't stop thinking about is this little book. It's not little. It's a graphic novel called The Tea Dragon Society, and it's by Kay O'Neill. So she's a writer as well as the illustrator. And as you can see, I'll bring it up a little bit closer here on my iPad. It's just so beautiful. Yes, you can see the little dragons on the orange blanket. So it's just wonderful. Yes, having high tea. So it's just this very delightful, lighthearted, heartwarming kind of graphic novel. This is the first of 3, and I've only read the first one, so I'm eagerly waiting for the second and third of those. But it's this kind of enchanted, magical world where our heroine, Greta, here, over here, she kind of encounters a group of people that form this ancient society of tea people. And they happen to be owners of these, like, cute little small dragons. They just follow them wherever they go, and they care for them. And what's really cool about that is that these are all, in this world, people are kind of like makers, and Greta and her family are family blacksmiths. So she already knows the connection between the earth and communities and caring for one another and providing for one another. But she stumbles across these 2 people that she's never really met before, even though they live in a smaller village, Ezekiel and Eric. And she actually finds one of the little dragons in the market and wants to return it to them because she knows that the dragons go with them. And she begins to be opened and invited into this world that these tea dragons, the reason why they're called tea dragons, because in their little horns, they actually sprout out leaves. And these are the leaves that you drink to get tea. And
Oh,
so they care for their humans, and the humans and are these beings. I don't know if they're all humans because they have horns too. The Greta and Eric and Ezekiel. And yeah, so each dragon, let me show you a couple of pictures here at the end. I mean, for graphic novels, anyone that's
cover
read
was
them
so
before.
beautiful.
Yes, yes. The cover got me, of course. I judged positively a book by its cover in this case. But here are some of the names of the dragons, and if you're a tea person, you might recognize them. Here's a jasmine dragon.
oh
Here's
yeah.
a rooibos dragon below.
Oh yeah.
And they have different
Grace,
temperaments.
Do they all breathe fire though?
I don't think any of them breathe fire. They're very.
Oh, really? Oh.
I don't think so. At least in the graphic, the first one, they haven't done that. It seems like their main purpose is to produce these leaves and to be companions to their caretakers. And they just seem really sweet, even though they're called dragons and they look kind of like miniature versions of dragons. They're not really too feisty. Some of them are grumpy, some of them are sleepy, like chamomiles.
That's so fun.
There's ginseng, Earl Grey,
They
hibiscus.
almost look like little Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I could go on and on. So it's just a very light, warm-hearted story of Greta learning from her elders, learning from nature, and she meets a new person, at the Dragon Tea Society named Minette. And so if you read the book, you'll kind of follow her story and what she's about and why she's a little bit shy. So, yeah, it's a really delightful story.
Can I say something about Grace that you should know about?
Yes.
She's a tea connoisseur.
Oh.
She knows a lot about tea. So I can see why you like these, Grace, because
Yes.
she knows a lot of things that I don't, and she enjoys. So sometimes in the office, you enter the office and it smells this beautiful smell. It's great.
Yes. This is one of the reasons why I love this book too, Sarah. You're right, because I personally love tea. I'm a big tea drinker. Winter, spring, summer, all kinds of tea. Black tea, hibiscus tea, chamomile tea. So just with, some of our favorite drinks, we have this experience of feeling cozy and warm and safe. So that's what I think about tea. So it's kind of interesting, Penny, you were saying, the fire breathing thing. When I think of this Tea Dragon Society, I just think of like cozy plush toys, kind of Pokemon type of like little animals, and because I connect it to tea and cozy things now.
So do you think we're kind of redefining the view of a dragon, because when you say dragon, you think about many things, but lately in pop culture, it has been after Winds of Fire, that series of the Fire series of the kids. I know that one because of my kids, and I had to read the whole thing because it was so fun. But it just kind of like humanized these pictures of the dragons, and now more and more I hear these stories of that a dragon.
Yeah, and it almost puts it in context of like a symbiotic or a reciprocal relationship. These dragons aren't just out there being awesome and cute. Like, they provide things to their caretakers. They give them delicious tea, and they provide companionship, and they have their own personality. So just like with our cats and dogs, like, we love them for all their quirks. So it's not just, these beings that float up in the air and look awesome. They're kind of like part of people's lives. So they belong in society, in Tea Dragon Society.
Yeah.
Okay, they're becoming like unicorns. Dragons are being more like unicorns, I feel like.
Ooh. But can unicorns make tea from their horns?
Maybe.
Oh, you're right. Maybe it's their secret, maybe.
Yeah, but it's magical. Their tea is magical.
Yeah, that could be it. I could see a unicorn.
Tea dragons.
So I'm gonna grab the helm here a minute and tell you about a book because I feel like I want to take a turn. This is called Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And I confess to everybody that I was on vacation in the UP. Driving up here, we always have to do an audiobook. And I, of course, downloaded this in Libby. and The Song of Achilles because I had read Circe
Yes.
by Madeline Miller, and that is actually one of our core books, Circe, which is in Greek mythology, the story of this goddess. And this book was from 2011. So this was Madeline Miller's first book. I'm showing everybody my credit card. It's like, no, that way, yes. It was from 2011, so it's a much older book, but I found it in Libby and downloading it. And it's always a chore to find a book to listen to that both myself and my husband like. You know how that is. I'm like, Greek mythology, that's good. So, and I loved Circe. And this tells the story of Achilles and Patroclus. And I hope I'm saying that right. Who is, and it's actually in Patroclus's point of view, who is a friend of Achilles, who had a father that kind of didn't like him very much. His father was a king and he was a prince, but his father didn't respect him at all. And he saw when he was young, very young, about 9, I think, in one of his father's races, Achilles, that won the foot race. And he was blonde and he was gorgeous. And Patroclus's father turns to him and says, that's what a prince should be. So, you know, but it ends up that Patroclus and Achilles are thrown together. They actually become lovers. So it shows that side of Greek mythology with a gay relationship between Achilles and Patroclus, taking the Iliad, telling of the Iliad with the sensibilities that we have today. So it was very good. And Madeline Miller is such a great author. I mean, she makes you feel like you are there when, you know, when Odysseus shows up and demands that Achilles come to Troy and fight to get Helen back. And Menelaus is there. And, you know, you're like right there and you're feeling the emotion of both Patroclus and Achilles and what they're going through. So it's just a fun, fabulous read. And I totally recommend it. So I'm throwing that in, which is very different from anything you guys are reading, but also fabulous.
Oh,
and available to download right now.
that's shooting up to
Did anybody have? Did you read Circe?
I read Circe. Now your description of Achilles, Song of Achilles, has made it go up in my list on my TBR list. So I love.
So good. We're like 60% done. I'm like, I want to drive home so I can hear the end of this book.
Yes. That's so funny. I love how, you know, it can be a story that's so ancient or so long ago, and when you boil it down to like the basic human kind of emotions of jealousy and love, and it's like, wow, I am like them, ancient Greek people.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
Okay, did either one of you have any other books you wanted to recommend?
I did. Now that you talked about road tripping, I realized that I did just finish a book, and I completely forgot because I did it all in the car, and so it was like a different experience. I drove to and from Chicago last weekend, and I read The Testaments by I was going to say Madeleine Albright. That's not it.
No.
Margaret Atwood.
Yes, I loved that. Did you like that?
I loved it, probably even more because I read Handmaid's Tale when I was in probably over 15 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
And then when The Handmaid's Tale, the TV show, came out, I watched the first season, and then 2016, I felt like, you know, self-care, I gotta remove myself from a lot of things here, and so I didn't end up watching it again until this year. And so a lot of not too many spoilers, but a lot of the things that you find in The Testament, which is the sequel to it, you know, 15 years later, is like inspired, I heard, by Margaret Atwood being on set of The Handmaid's Tale. And it shows, like, you know, when people are at war, it's not just the people that are fighting that get impacted, it's the generations afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
I love the audiobook on Libby was fantastic. And Margaret Atwood announces each chapter. So if you love her kind of like sultry voice, then you'll get every chapter her saying it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but excellent, excellent.
Good to know. I read
Reading.
that one. I didn't listen to it, but it was so good.
Gripping.
Hearing no matter what I say about the book, though, I'm going to have spoilers, Grace. So I feel like I have to shut up. But it talks
No.
about the daughters,
Yes, the daughters. Yep.
two
And
very
that's what
different experiences from this war.
yes.
So
Wow.
yes, if you
Yeah.
liked the series Handmaid's Tale, I think you'll really like the book The Testaments.
Yeah, yeah. And it's from both their perspectives. They're both, you know,
Mhm.
their mom is the same, and how being like the impact of war on their lives is one thing, but they get to the perspective, the point of view changes from when they're a little bit younger to when they're a little older. And so just as you think of like uh how you can change from when you're maybe 15 to 25 to
Right.
35 to 50, you're still the same person and you still have all those collected thoughts and emotions and memories, but
You
when
interpret
you
it.
look, yeah, when you interpret and look back on it, you're like, wow. And so this book allows you to do that. And in audio form, it's kind of special because they have different actresses from when they're younger and when they're older. So you can really tell the difference. And they go
Yeah.
back and forth and back and forth. So it's this extra layer of storytelling, which is the magic of audiobooks, where you just have
Yeah.
another layer. The book reading it would have been magnificent too, I know. But
And
yeah, that's the fun thing.
one thing I loved about it too, I don't know if you love this part, Grace, but it also told the backstory of Aunt Lydia.
Yes.
Aunt Lydia, if you're watching the show, is this evil, terrible, but it showed what made her become
Yes.
what she ended up being. I
Her
mean, she
origin
wasn't,
story.
and I think her origin story, they made it a little worse in the show. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they made her kind of always evil, but in the book, it really, paints her as human at one point. She was a human being, and a
Yeah.
lot of what was going on in Gilead and all this stuff kind of forced her to become what she ended up becoming. And
Yeah.
and that was really interesting to hear another perspective on her.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that there are monsters.
Mm.
Um, I
Mm.
believe we're all human underneath, and to
Mhm.
find out why people do what they do is really fascinating to me.
Yeah. Or maybe, maybe this is too, I don't know, uh, existential, but to be human, it seems through this book is saying the ability to be your worst and your best all in one body, all in one person,
Right.
all in one year, all within one community to be the worst and the best. And it not, well, you choose whether you think it's a contradiction or if it's just paradoxical. I don't know.
Different
Wow.
sides of us, yes.
I'm definitely taking this book. I have a 40 to 45 minutes drive to the office almost every day. When sometimes I work all day from home, but usually I go. So I'm definitely doing this.
Yes,
You
yes.
guys
It's
didn't
about women.
reading the book. I wanna
Yeah,
read
it's
it.
I
Right.
think you'd like it, Sarah.
Yeah,
Women standing up and
yeah.
facing realities and not backing down. And yeah.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if it's in Spanish. Because I would like to take this to the group that we go to,
Yes, you're right, Sarah. I'm gonna have
Well,
to find out.
and I would say to everybody, if you can't find it in Spanish in KDL's catalog, let's check the
And
Michigan
now.
Electronic catalog, see if anyone else has it. Because
You
I
know,
mean, I love us so much, but we can't have everything.
yeah, true,
True.
true. No, and that's why it's so awesome to have mail. I just checked these two authors that I mentioned before, and there are books in English in KDL, but they're not exactly these titles. And in mail too, there's more. So, um, yeah. Are you checking right now? Do you?
I'm checking right now.
Okay. So can I tell you what I recommend while you're doing that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I think I spoke about this one, but to be honest, I didn't finish it until like just now.
That's okay.
Because I didn't have time. But also because I want to kind of like digest it, because it is not complicated to read, but it is profound. Do you know that difference between not difficult to understand, but kind of like insightful that you are like, oh yeah, I gotta do this. Okay, so this is Makoto Fujimura. He's Japanese. He's an artist, and he specializes in abstract art, and he paints with natural, like gold and clay and just natural things from leaves and things like that. That's what he does, and his abstracts have a lot of texture. And he's also a Christian, and he speaks in his art a lot about his faith in the context of restoration of life and community and beauty. And he has a lot of work related to returning to beauty and integrating beauty into your life as a discipline, engaging with beauty. And this book, it was beautiful because in a time, it's called Culture Care, and it was really, it says reconnecting with beauty for our common life. And it is what he proposes is that that culture is not something that you have to fight against, but it's like a garden where you can plant seeds. So when we approach culture, we have to approach culture in a restoration, with that restoration mind, and not in a tearing down it. So it is a very true, like a message full of life. And he is a wonderful person. So if you follow him, also he's in social media. So that's my recommendation. It is in KDL collection. It is a Christian author, but he's not overly religious, and so you can, there's other authors that come from different other traditions, and it's acceptable. But since that he's like Japanese, it's an interesting combination of principles. So I recommend it a lot.
Are there visuals of some of his art in the book?
No, but you should Google him. You should Google him because you'll like it.
Yeah, I do love his work.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you. I wanted to let you guys know too that
no visuals.
That Margaret Atwood's Los Testamentos, am I getting that at all correct? Is available in print at the Kentwood and Wyoming branches of KDL, and you can put that on hold through KDL.
Thanks.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Penny.
So good. Grab that. And if you ever are looking for a book in another language or a particular author, please ask a librarian. And even if you can't find it, doesn't mean we don't have it, and doesn't mean we can't get it.
Yeah. Yes.
So check with the librarian. And thank you, Grace, and thank you, Sarah, for all of your recommendations. If you want to hold everything up one more time to remind people what we talked about, hold up your favorite one. I'm holding up Song of Achilles, which yay! It was so wonderful to talk to you, wonderful women, tonight. And I'm glad I didn't break up. I'm still, UP Wi-Fi is still working. Thank you. And I'm going to make you both come back on the show again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Penny.
I love you.
Great. Have a great night, and I'll see you all next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great vacation.
Bye.